I like the segue will be more notable to people watching the video than listening.
That was you must have gone to Segway school or something. Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm. Remotely, kind of. When you're listening
Norm
to this,
is not here.
You're in
I'm
China.
actually not here. I'm in China right now. We recorded this earlier.
What's your China? Like, we've had some friends who went to China last year and they got all crazy and like bought burner laptops and cell phones and the
I
whole
am
thing.
not that crazy. I completely respect that. Our friend Veronica Belmont and her husband, when they went, they didn't bring any of their personal gear. They bought burner phones, didn't plug any, they completely wiped computers.
The fear is, and this is something that's propagated here in the Western press, that your electronic devices will be compromised in China.
Well, yeah, and at the time he was
prominent.
He was working at a large media company, and they had OPSEC concerns, I'm sure.
Right.
So,
Ryan is definitely at the top of a list of people who could be desirous to be compromised.
I am far low on that list. So
I think you're higher than you think.
Yeah.
I probably won't bring my personal phone, especially
Since you won't be able to use it.
Right,
this is
exactly.
GSM, yeah.
So I'll bring I'll bring another phone with that can buy a card.
Oh, the benefit of reviewing phones for years is
I have
you
an
have
extra. I have one or two extras.
Yeah.
But that's where I am.
That's
right
where
now.
you are right now. Will you pick me up one of those really, really bad copies of an iPhone?
Yeah. What do you guys want?
I want a Panda.
Tell me now. No, you can't have a Panda, Will.
Get me a Panda, Norm.
Will Adam, that's a really
trash Panda.
So I don't know if I'll be able to go to Shenzhen.
What's that?
I don't know if I'll be able to go to Shenzhen, but I hope.
Like an electronics market?
Yes. So about half an hour outside Hong Kong is those one of the biggest electronics markets in the world.
Here's what I would want. I would want something that exemplifies the only place you could get this is in this amazing confluence of technology that is current modern day China. Right. So whether it's the iPhone knockoff that has like a drawer for cigarettes built into it or something, or
so today's date is I think it's the 28th or 29th even.
All right.
When this podcast comes out, the new iPhone is expected to be announced on the 21st.
Oh, so you think there'll be copies of the new iPhone?
I could be there for peak turnaround.
For the baby iPhone.
Yeah, for announcement to copy.
I will take it.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the prime time.
The other thing I'm interested in is, are there bootleg thermal imaging devices available in China?
Like a faux FLIR.
Yeah.
So
somebody posted to Reddit this morning that they were messing around with a thermal imaging camera. They pointed it down while they took a leak.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
And it looks like you're Satan pissing fire into the volcano.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Well, and when it hits the water in the toilet,
no, it's safe for work.
You crop out the anatomical
It's just
bits.
the stream.
It's just water.
It's just the stream.
Yeah, don't cross the streams, Adam.
That's what I want.
Okay, yeah.
I would like the weirdest thing that you see, you just pick something bizarre if you go to the electronics shop. You'll know it when you see it.
USB key.
I don't want the dog that humps the USB port. I have one of those already.
You have one of those.
I've got a small collection. Have you seen that? It's amazing.
Something with a misspelled name, like a rip-off product.
Like Adam's call on the fake iPhone is really good. I would say if you see something that, like, you've been to Banggood, you've browsed the roles of, so Banggood is like Amazon, but they go and source products from those electronics markets.
Okay.
So they're obviously looking for things that they can actually sell rather than the weird stuff. But yeah, just kind of use it. You know where I stand on weird things from China.
I wish I was going
the Panda
to
would be really
Japan,
cool,
because one of the things, and we've had friends who do this. There are certain marketplaces in Japan and also in China where it's very expensive to import those products here. They build them in limited supply, whether it's a model kit or a specific piece of electronics kit, and there's a community there that supports that.
Let's just make a commitment. Sometime in the next year, you and I should go to Japan together and
love to
do a couple tested things there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting science and technology happening all the time.
Again, this is not a great segue, but speaking of fish out of water.
Okay.
Norm and Adam take Japan. I saw a wonderful movie this week.
Oh.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Oh, is it good?
WTF?
WTF. It is a Tina Fey film. It is loosely based on the account of a reporter's time in Kabul, in Afghanistan. I loved it.
Is it a comedy?
It is a little bit of it's one of those movies that is semi-genreless.
Oh, okay.
Which means that it probably was a nightmare for them to market.
Like The Hurt Locker.
No, The Hurt
that's a
Locker is
thriller.
far more of a genre. Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
It wasn't an obvious joke.
This film is lovely. At every point you think it's going to go for an obvious joke, it pivots very expertly and doesn't.
That's one of my favorite things of recent comedy is when you see them looking at the obvious joke and then they pull back at the last minute and go in some. That's a kind of apatow-ish.
Yeah,
thing
it
was
is.
where I
It
first started
is.
seeing that.
Margot Robbie is in it.
Okay.
She's terrific.
She's in everything now.
Yeah, she's great. Martin Freeman plays a Scotsman, and is also wonderful. It's great. Just
Martin Freeman from Sherlock and
Martin
The
Freeman,
Hobbit
Bilbo Baggins, and
Okay.
Tina Fey
Little
together
Bilbo.
again.
Oh yeah, I forgot Tina Fey was in the third Hobbit movie. Wow. Okay. I had heard really mixed on that.
You know, it's this thing when you make a genreless movie. The last one I saw was probably American Ultra,
Okay.
right, which straddles like 5 genres. I think that
That's
movie
Max Landis's.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that movie-going audiences get really wiggy when that goes on, and they're like, "What?
Because half the audience goes in with one expectation or for one reason, whether they want to see a specific actor or actress,
Yeah.
or because they like the director, or they're in the mood for comedy, and when they get mixed, emotions are hard.
You know, and it leads me to want more than just a Rotten Tomatoes rating, which I find to be a very reliable rating for movies I will like, except in cases where movies are like this. I think that it goes way off the rails.
I mean, that's one of those things. It's like Yelp. In some cities, Yelp is a measure of how the volume of food
I don't
you're
like
going
Chinese
to
food, and I didn't like this Chinese restaurant.
get. Yeah.
So
or
my friends and I were stumbling at 2 a.m. We wandered into this place, and the service was okay, but it sure hit the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I Rotten Tomatoes is for things that are popular. You know, it's going to be a good rating, whether it's good or not.
But that was the whole point with the Netflix, the challenge,
Right.
the algorithm.
Yeah.
It's giving you the recommendation based on your history.
Yeah,
of what
I
you
still
would like.
find that to be about, when it shows me movies, you might also like this, and I've already seen them. I'm like, yeah, you're close, but
You know what we didn't talk about that was really good?
what's that?
Somebody on Reddit figured out how to get the entire list of all the secret categories on
Yeah.
Netflix. And going down that list was amazing fun. Like we found a ton. I can't remember anything off the top of my head because it was like 2 months ago. But we found a ton of stuff that we wanted to watch that was in categories that probably never would have
Wait, so are
been
these
exposed naturally.
movies
Tell me
lists, or is
why-
it the categories?
So this was what they did was they found a way to access the list of categories.
So this is like
and the categories are like
Atlantic.
yeah. So like a Netflix, an example would be like edge of the seat thriller with magical elements, right? So it's like there's maybe a little bit of a mystic element. So like Big
Right.
Trouble in Little China is
Right.
probably in that.
So you think of how Netflix organizes its content. It's a basically a big Excel document, and they cross-reference, and movies fit into categories. But the scripting factors, the things that tie together, it's almost like a Mad Lib. You have
Kind of,
adjective,
yeah.
Subject, noun, adjective, and it's far vaster than you would
Right,
imagine.
But then this
comedic
is-
spy thriller,
Right.
Yeah,
And so this is the question I have. I can't remember. Why is it that Netflix makes it so hard to just look at the full list?
so there were thousands and thousands of those categories.
Right. No, what you mean is a full list of movies.
Right.
Because they hide, and Amazon has done this. They did this from the very beginning with their Prime Video service. They never want you to see the full list because then you feel like you've seen it all and you don't have a reason to go back.
You don't
Oh,
want to get to the
seriously?
end of the
That's it?
internet.
Changing.
Yeah.
The list is because they take things out, they put things back in.
Yeah.
Right, but-
and by not surfacing the list, then you have to trust Netflix to show you what they think you
now
want.
here's the problem I have with that is on Netflix, it doesn't take me very much searching to feel like I've reached the end of what you've got to show me.
The problem,
That's
Adam,
they're bad.
is choice.
I want more choice.
But what I need is some sort of high level neural network powered AI that looks at what time it is, like whether it's been rainy, how many calories I consumed that day, whether I've had a glass or two of wine.
Will, your
and then
Samsung
tells me what to
television
watch.
notices that you and your wife have been arguing lately. Perhaps you'd like to watch this movie.
yeah.
It's time to watch Harold and Maude again.
Yeah, or what was the?
I'm not meaning
Yeah.
Will's wife is very old, by the way. I'm just saying
No.
it's a nice romantic movie.
Yes. I was going to go the other way and say that it's like the movie about the people that have relationships on the playground or whatever. Anyway, What were we going to talk about today? I have
We're
no
talking
idea.
about artificial
Norm
intelligence.
has a kick. What?
Well, the Netflix algorithm is in one way an AI.
Yeah.
We'll look at back at this as the beginning of the AI era right now.
Right. And knowledge. And some of the things we've been talking on our other podcasts is AI. In the news right now, at least when we're recording this, is Google's DeepMind.
Yes.
This is
It's
their
now 3-1 against one of the world's top Go players.
Go players.
And Go is a game which keeps being described in the articles, and I haven't looked into if this is actually true, as exponentially more complex than chess.
The thing I saw is that the problem set, the list of possible board positions is like the number of atoms in the universe or something insane.
So the number of possible moves in Go outnumbers the number of atoms in the universe.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So it's not a solvable
Who
problem.
counted the number? Yeah.
So this is another thing along these lines that I really enjoyed was, did you come across the story about prime numbers having a proclivity? This is really fascinating. So when you start studying prime numbers, they end in 1, 3, 7, or 9.
They have to be odd.
Right. And not 5.
Never 5.
Right. So when you're studying prime numbers, you would imagine that as you look at these long strings that is a prime number, that the ending number would be random. But that's not the case. It actually turns out that prime numbers resist. This is how the mathematicians are describing it. They seem to resist being next to other prime numbers that have the same numbers at the finish.
So like the same last digit?
Mm-hmm.
So you won't have 2, 3 prime numbers in a row.
But more than that, there also turn out to be certain prime numbers that prefer, by like a 65% margin, having another number follow it. So a prime number might end in 9, and if it ends in 9, it's like a 65% chance that the next prime number ends in 1.
The fact that we can calculate this, not by a sample size, but just through math.
Well, this is the
way prime numbers are found.
Right. And this is the thing where they're talking about, they're looking at the first 400 or 500 million prime numbers.
Yeah.
Right. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, prime numbers, like Mersenne primes, are these unfathomably large numbers that are like something times 10 to the 55,000th minus 1.
And then we'll talk about, I came across this morning, which is about pi, which is this.
Oh, yeah.
Pi being calculated to n degree. Turns out that 39 places, pi to 39 places, that's memorizable by any one of us on a bet.
I don't know.
Sure.
3.141592652 something.
Right. So 39 places is accurate enough to calculate the circumference of the known universe to the width of an atom.
This is one of those.
That's powers of 10, though.
Yeah.
I mean, at 39, the 10, that's a lot. I like that when you talk about how prime numbers, tend to resist or prefer.
This is what I found so intoxicating about reading the article. It was off of Slashdot, that talking about mathematicians using words like resist.
Right, and that verbiage gives them, because our association, maybe they're mathematical technical terms, but the association that we have with those terms is very human. Well,
and the thing is that the thing that's apparently astonishing, and again, I haven't read deeply into this story, but it's very recently discovered, and it's not clear why. It's kind of amazing that something so basic wasn't discovered before, and all these mathematicians were hearing about it and be like, that can't be right, and they'd run a program and build a thing and test it on their computer. Sure enough, no, wow, there does really say, what does this mean? And it could mean potentially all these things that we like. Again, the distribution of prime numbers is not necessary. It's not random, but it's not predictable. So this may illuminate for mathematicians some of the underlying structure built within mathematics that helps us understand why prime numbers are distributed the way they are.
And by imbuing them with, by using that verbiage, or imbuing them with more than just characteristics.
Intent is what those words, yeah.
Right? Well, which is not something you would give to numbers.
It also turns out to be the case whether or not you're looking at primes using a base 10 or log 3 or many other different permutations
ways of notating
number
these large
systems.
numbers.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Now, going back to DeepMind, something where I was talking to Kishore and Jeremy about when discussing this. They've been watching the matches every night, like the several-hour matches on YouTube. The live stream,
it's fascinating.
which
Like
is fun.
even if you know nothing about Go,
I just love reading of the I can't remember the name of the player, but when DeepMind made this seemingly random move and he was watching the player, his opponent, the human opponent, watched this move and went, "What the? Oh, it's so beautiful."
they should have said a poet. That Wired art that was in a Wired article.
Yeah.
It's so far the best, most human understandable analysis of those games that I've seen.
The AI itself needs a person to move the pieces because they're playing not
Right. There's somebody who is, it's not a robot that moves the Go pieces. There's a
Lazy
person
computers.
there.
moving. And something that Jeremy brought up was that if you think of it in a way, that person whose job is to move the piece of the robot is the robot's avatar.
Well, that
That is
Sorry,
his
I just
job.
blew out the mic. That is the best.
wow.
That's.
I mean,
Wow. Is that
this is a job that's existed for a while because in computer chess playing games,
I mean,
it's always been the case.
We should get Simone to make a Go playing robot.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
if only we had that technology.
I just paused.
Yeah.
That Wired article. I want to just look. They're friends of mine. Adam Rogers is a good friend of mine, and I haven't met him, but Rhett Allen, who writes a lot of the Wired science stuff, just keeps killing it. And because Adam's a friend of mine, when I come across a Wired article I think is great, I forward it. I basically text him the link and go, "This is awesome," or "Oh, you maybe didn't know about this," but most of the time it's just to say awesome, and it's almost always one of Rhett's articles.
And he writes the physics
Yeah.
blog
Yeah.
on Wired, kind of like the physics equivalent of what Phil Plait does for astronomy
That astronomer,
on Slate.
It's a wonderful communicator.
Exactly. And those people, oh my God. And those people, they do the great jobs explaining the fields that they're great in. And obviously a well-known science communicator is Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he's actually been in the news recently because he tweets a lot.
He's very avid Twitterer.
He responds and he has conversations the whole thing. Yeah.
And his tweets are full of his personality. Sometimes they're very sarcastic. I know he's very pedantic sometimes with minute details of things like movies.
The classic one is the New Year's tweet where he says, "Well, another completely arbitrary denotation of a revolution around the sun," or whatever.
Well, that's, every Thanksgiving I always tweet, "Remember, kids, all human progress is behind a vanguard of homicidal maniacs."
Technically true.
This is like the it's like the Richard Linklater joke at the end of the school year in Dazed and Confused, where it's like, as you go out to celebrate the bicentennial, remember you're doing this because a bunch of rich white guys didn't want to pay their taxes. So
Right.
it's like it's a parable for today.
Some of the things he's been tweeting lately has gotten some the attention
got in
of
trouble.
some other scientists and
What did he
biologists
do?
specifically. He tweeted a few tweets about biology. I'm not sure if they were serious tweets. He said, "If there were ever a species for whom sex hurt, it surely went extinct long ago."
Yep.
Now I'm not sure if that was in response to something, but like what
That
instigated
seems like a
this
shower,
tweet.
like a Neil deGrasse Tyson shower thought.
Right, totally.
Right.
And so somebody immediately responded. Kyle Hill wrote, "Yeah, I'm sure female cats love those spined cat penises. Oh, and bedbugs can't get enough traumatic insemination." I'm not going to go into bedbug sex right now because it is
No.
a horror show that makes Ridley Scott look like a children's book author.
But I mean, there's a lot of species where the act of copulation is the end of life for one or both member of the act.
As
So
many people, including biologists, pointed out to
Yes.
Neil.
It's indisputed. Like that observable science is, he's wrong there, but it's a thought he had and he tweeted it. But I think it brings about the topic.
He got it enough. So let me just state. As a tweeting science communicator,
Yes.
he got in trouble enough to make me nervous.
about saying things on Twitter.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
So the question is, does he have a responsibility to tweet things that he could have framed in a way where it could have posited as a question, but he tweeted in a way to sound authoritative. And because he has 5 million followers and he is a trusted voice for astronomy and a great science communicator, like what is his responsibility there?
Well, this is one of the lessons that you and I learned early on with Tested, right? When we started out doing this, it's weird. It was at the time weird to have a tech site where you were talking informally about products that you were in the middle of testing and things like that. And you have to have a different standard when it's a public conversation, right?
You do have to have a different standard when it's a public conversation. 100%, I think we can all agree on that. And I'm going to state right now, there's no way we're going to come to some conclusion in this discussion about whether Neil was right or wrong.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
No. I just mean, like, there's no formula here. But one of I came across this on Metafilter. I found this out. And the Metafilter discussion goes into some fairly deep stuff about, about patriarchy, about seeing this only from a male scientist's point of view. And all of that is totally valid. All of that is absolutely, and other people are like, look, isn't he just a kind of a semi-fool making some dad jokes? And that's also true.
Yeah. I mean, well, you get this, right? I'm sure when you post something about politics, which you don't do that often anymore, then you get a horde of people saying, hey, I don't follow you for politics stuff. Keep it to the topic.
I have definitely gotten that.
And those people can kind of die in a fire as far as I'm concerned when they do it to me,
because I'm sure they're posting about politics in comment sections all over the internet.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just what you say to people whose politics you disagree with. Let's be clear.
But Twitter is a weird thing.
What Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't a matter of opinion. He expressed a thought, but the way he expressed it, he did it with authority.
Well, but isn't he allowed to express that thought?
Yeah, I think, but he could have done it to be more honest with himself. If it wasn't something he was sure about, then he shouldn't have tweeted it as if he was sure about it.
If he had prefaced it by saying "dad joke:" and then
absolutely,
then it's deliberately. Then he's making a dad joke. I don't think it was a dad joke.
I don't think it was a dad joke.
I'm not sure it was a dad joke, but
that's why he was
okay. So this is something like when I'm about to tweet, I have a dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
We know this.
Yeah.
When I'm about to tweet a joke, I absolutely hold it up and look at it from multiple angles thinking, is there some way in which this can be easily misconstrued to be my opinion? And I don't tweet many things based on that. And not just whether or not it's my opinion, but based on how misinterpretable this thing could be, this thing I'm about to tweet. Mm-hmm. Humor is very subjective and difficult to quantify. And yes, he does have a responsibility, especially with the fact that, as my friend Ben says, he's the physical embodiment of the word actually.
Wow. It's either the best or the worst thing you could say about somebody.
I think it speaks to the larger culture's tendency with platforms like Twitter and the immediacy from which we have the time between we have a thought and then we can spread that thought. To spread that thought in order to get attention, to spread it in the form of a declarative.
Well, this is the challenge of Twitter, right? Twitter gives us a unique way to have this one-to-many, but then also a reciprocal conversation with a massive number of people that's completely unfettered by any kind of bureaucracy or organization, I guess is better than bureaucracy.
Right.
So this is a problem that literally, when Carl Sagan was doing the same thing in the 70s and the early 80s, this wasn't an issue for him because there was no venue for this kind of communication.
No, but he was very considered. This is the most shit I ever got for a single tweet was when I tweeted, I thought uncontroversially, about how ghosts were fictional.
Yes, I remember that.
I remember this. We did a whole podcast about that. Yeah.
And that was really unpleasant. I don't like having people yell at me, even if I disagree with them and feel strongly that they're wrong.
I think every tweet, because and this is a constraint, and one of the strengths of the medium is how brief they are. That word count. That every tweet, it should be understood. It's I think.
Yeah.
It is my belief that, and then your tweet. But people don't read it as that. They read it as I declare that.
Right.
And it must be that.
It's also really hard to know what your audience is on Twitter. I mean, there are ways to get that information kind of, but not really. So I don't have no idea what his audience is on Twitter.
Look, I mean, we're also in this place where, Stephen Colbert, in trying to make a joke about how bad cultural racism can be, names I'm not even going to repeat his joke, but names a terrible Asian organization for the betterment of Chinese Americans, and it's it's horribly racist, the name of the organization, and that's the joke, is that this is and yet gets a boycott movement against him for people who feel that the joke is, well, don't feel, they object to the joke's racism, even though what he's doing with the joke is attempting to call out
the racism
in our culture.
Yeah. Comedy's hard.
Comedy is hard, man. Comedy is not pretty.
Well,
and I don't mean to excuse.
Is complex.
Yes. Thank you. That's probably much better.
And as a science communicator, I think a lot of it was that people maybe expected more of him, and which may be unfair.
People expect him to be infallible, which is, I think, absolutely unfair.
Right, but they expected, knowing that he has made himself known as a science communicator, then they thought he could have expressed himself better in a medium.
Let's cast this forward about being an authority. When Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets something that's cool, which he does constantly, you go out and you repeat it. And you use it. And we have tons of conversational shorthand because many people aren't even reading the articles, they're reading the headlines and then having political discussions based on a bunch of headlines they've read without any deeper knowledge. This is how the world is working right now.
More toddlers killed Americans last year than terrorists with guns.
Right.
I read that headline this morning. I'm an expert.
There you go. So what people are objecting to is when Neil tweets something that is pithy and has a central idea that is easy to understand and yet slightly like, oh, I never thought of it that way. People are going to go repeat that, and they're going to repeat it without thinking deeper about it. And I think that is the primary objection biologists and other people had in pointing out this mistake is you personally can't speak for science communicators in general because we're all different. We're all Lord's little children, but Neil specifically is an authority and tweets these lovely, beautiful facts about the universe and his expertise, but also about science and scientific thinking in general, and that has consequences.
And
he made it not he took away, by making it declarative, took away for that question, maybe that thought, to be a conversation.
Yeah, I think you're right. Has he responded to the fracas, to the brouhaha?
No, I think he doubled down a little bit.
He kind of has done that in the past when people have criticized him. I can't remember the specific example, but I definitely remember there being a brouhaha about something that was, I think, probably more minor than this. I guess
if you're going to be a black astrophysicist, you're going to have a pretty thick skin.
I would assume so, yeah.
And we love Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We love Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a friend, he's a colleague, he's an amazing, wonderful, vibrant man.
He's done a lot of good for science.
Totally. And this is an instructive case to discuss. I mean, I don't have a conclusion I've made about it. I just noted it and thought, oh shit, I better be careful.
I think it's also probably he's also being held to a higher standard because of the war on science, right? The fact that we have a significant portion of the population.
I think that's a secondary adjunct because
I think he has to be better than everyone else. If he's the face and voice of this for a lot of people, then he can't. If you give reason to people to doubt on something like that, then you also give them reason to doubt him when he talks about climate change or when he talks about, any of the other things.
Which
that are
is a
going on.
symptom. That's just a symptom of how debates are made.
Right. That's just the internet comment debate. My mom did that and it didn't hurt her. Ergo, your argument is invalid.
You made one mistake. All of your other arguments are invalid.
Exactly.
Well, that's a grim place to wrap it up.
I mean, it's a conversation that bears having, and we want to make a conversation, so we all want to hear your thoughts in the comments below.
Look, that's exactly right, and I've been finding the comment section of Tested to be full of some more vigorous debate lately, and I really enjoy it. I think it seems to be largely civil. I don't know what sort of shooting down of the uncivil posts that I am not privy to.
I don't do any of that.
None.
All right.
YouTube's still probably a burning trash fire.
I don't know. Does YouTube have a comment section? I've never looked at it.
Yeah. You can get a Chrome plugin that just removes the comments from every YouTube video.
It's okay. I banned you from YouTube, Adam, so you don't see it.
That is good. I don't ever want to read a YouTube comment.
That's a much happier ending. I guess that'll do it for us this week. Norm, I hope you're having fun in China. I'm really excited about getting that Panda.
I'm looking for those iPhones. That thermometer.
You know what I want? I want a knockoff. I want the cheapest, biggest knockoff quad you think you can get back.
Oh, wow. Did you, by the way, I'm sorry, we're not ending it here. Did you happen to see the video of the jet ski taking out the Inspire
Yes.
one?
Oh, that was so sad.
Wait, what?
There's a jet ski comes
Out of the wall. It's jet
like
ski,
on a wave or something?
On a
Right.
wave, comes out and plows right into an Inspire.
and it's like 15 feet in the air, and Inspire's filming it, and then it just shatters, and all the props go out.
Well, it was amazing. But here's my problem with the video is the video said, watch this Inspire one get taken out. And it was like 12 minutes of jet skis flipping.
So
and
you
then
just
that was
fast
the
forward to the
last
end?
shot.
Oh, I saw it in the form of a GIF, so I'm okay.
Oh,
GIF, you mean?
GIF.
So there was an Inspire in the BattleBots cage last year that they used to shoot some of those inside the cage shots, the ones that moved. And the entire time
I was waiting.
we were just waiting. You're just like, this is like you'd see some metal fly, but you were like, this could be it. This is the one.
This is the robot sport equivalent of the ref getting punched in the face.
Yeah,
Right?
This is
the
great.
arena.
I want this. I want
Yeah.
more of this.
I want these. Somebody gotta get the damn robot.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, see you guys next week.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.